Hello and welcome. Today's video, I worked hard to get it done for you. It's all about autumn fall photography using a smartphone. Now, if you follow the channel, you'll notice that the video is a little bit out of order. The last one was midsummer. This one, we're in full fall. I still have a couple of summer ones to do, and I still have one or two maybe with the iPhone 11. But for this video, autumn fall photography tips and tricks and some creative ideas, I'm going to be using the iPhone 14 Pro to do it. So it'll work for any smartphone though. So let's get into this one. It's fun. Alrighty. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to plan our shoot. The better you plan, the better results. I know in the States and in Canada where I'm from, we have a fall guide map that we can look at, and it'll tell us what area and what the leaves are doing in that area. So it'll say it's a 40% leaf change with a 10% leaf drop. So I can go out at the best time possible to create my photos that I want. Now the next thing I do is I create a shot list before I go. What type of images am I looking to create? And I make sure I take that list with me so I don't forget a specific shot. I don't want to drive for 2 hours, coming back home and go, oh, I forgot to do that. Create a shot list. Plan. The better you plan, better results. Now, stick around to the end because I've got a great bonus tip for you which will help up your game in autumn fall photography using your smartphone. First point I'm going to get to is using objects to create framing. It adds depth to your image. Here, check this out. I'm kind of tucked in behind some weeds and reeds down by the river there, and I'm using those in the foreground to help create a sense of depth to the photo. Anything will work, but I mean, look at the finished photo of that. I think that's pretty cool. You can use low-hung branches across the river. Here's a couple of different examples. You can see how well that works, and it adds a sense of depth and adds a little more interest to your photo. All right, my next point is don't just look straight. Look down. The floor is covered in leaves and all kinds of cool things in the autumn time. Here I am snuggled down by this tree. Why? Because of the moss that's growing on the side. Because it's so damp, the moss is just growing and it's so vibrant. Check out this photo that I did with it. I think that looks pretty cool. What else if we go a little closer still? That looks awesome. Almost looks like I'm shooting down on the top of a forest canopy. So that's looking down. Look at this too. A red leaf on a brown background. How cool is that? Because you need to look down. Well, now that we've looked straight, we've looked down, where else should we look? Up. There's a canopy of trees up there. Here's one shot I did looking up the tree. I think that's pretty cool, but I can make it a bit better. Check this shot out. This one I really like. I'm like right up tight against the trunk of the tree, shooting straight up. And look at the beautiful light and the color glow through that tree canopy. So don't just look straight, don't just look down. Look up as well, and you can create some awesome images. Now, another point that we're going to play with is perspective. Here's a shot down the road. You see a lot of this type picture. That looks pretty cool. But what happens if we change the perspective? Let's get down low at the road level and shoot. Wow. Totally different image. All I did was squat down to take the photo. I didn't move. I just lowered the camera angle and look at the difference there is. So change up your perspective to create a new interest and a new looking image that I think is pretty cool. Which one do you like the best? Let me know down below. Now, another way to add some amazing interest to your image is to use leading lines. Now here I'm just basically standing on the dock looking down the river, and I'm using the bend of the river and a bit of the walkway there to help draw the viewer deeper into the image, because your eye naturally will follow the line down through the image. Now, the finished photo I think looks pretty cool, and as I say, it helps draw the viewer deeper into your photo so they can discover more. What happens if we do it with a road? Look at the way the road bends, and there's a little bit of an S-bend down the end. Again, it helps draw the viewer's eye deeper into your photo. You could use fencing, whatever, but pay attention to leading lines to help add some interest to your images. Now, next thing we need to consider is time of day. Here I am down by the river on the dock with all the canoes all stacked up because they're getting ready to put them away for the end of the season. But I'm there in the daytime, everything's bright and vibrant and looks really cool. But what happens if we get out near sunset? Check out this beach shot where the sun is still a bit off the horizon, but totally different look to it because we're near sunset. What happens if we get even closer to sunset? Look at this shot down the river that I did when it's getting really low in the sky, that sun and that beautiful light. And look how it just lights up a couple of those trees. So time of day can drastically change. If you stood there in one spot and took different photos throughout the day, you would notice how that area changes and warps throughout the day. So plan ahead for different times of the day that you want to shoot at your location. Okay, it's not just the trees and leaves we want to shoot. Yes, they're beautiful and they're everywhere, but there's other areas that we can go to. Check out this shot I did down with the dunes. That's that seagrass there, how it changes when the season changes. I think that looks really cool. What is if I shoot more of the sand dune area? That I think is pretty cool. And I'm not just focusing on the leaves, a different area, and how that area changes in the autumn time. And I think that is really beautiful. Now, another thing that we want to look at is the strange and unusual. I've already showed you this picture before, but look, it's like a red maple leaf on a brown oakish background. That I think is cool. That red just pops, and the yellow on that looks really cool. So it's different. It's not just a pile of the same colored leaves. There's a definite subject to that, and it just kind of pops right off the page. Now, another strange and unusual thing, look at this path. Everyone wants the trees to kind of over canopy on a path, so you get that beautiful color of the lit path. But look at the branch on this one tree, the way it's arched and bent over, making a natural little kind of arch pathway through. I wish there was a little more leaf in that area, but there wasn't. I just did that photo just to show you. Look for some of the unusual shapes of the trees, because you can create some really interesting images. So keep your eye open for the strange and unusual and try and photograph it in the best way you can. Now here's that bonus tip I was talking about. Well, I've actually got a couple of points here for you to help get you more creative. And that's what this point is. Try and be creative. Here, there wasn't many leaves falling in the area, and I wanted a kind of a shot of a path with the leaves falling. So what do? Grab a handful of leaves and toss them, and then try and be quick on the camera to be able to get the photo. So I've got the leaves fluttering down. If you have a friend or two with you, you can have them throwing kind of leaves from the side, try and get a bit of distance. You can create a cool looking effect. Check out the final image. I think that's pretty cool. I like that. So another way that we can get creative, and it kind of goes back to the framing part. Look at leaves. They've all got rips and tears and stuff in them, and you can use them for framing. Now, this one, it kind of had like a heart pattern. No, I promise you, I did not cut that. That's just the way it was. But you can see here, I'm holding it in front of the lens, and I'm using it to frame the forest and the path part behind. Now, if you have a person, you can use them in behind with the forest scene, and that would look pretty cool. But you use it for framing. Check out the final image. I think that's pretty cool. It's kind of like a doorway to a mystery world. So, that's all I got for you in this one. Hopefully it's given you some new ideas and new perspectives on fall photography using any type of smartphone. It'll even work for DSLR or mirrorless. But there you go. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Hit that bell notification so you're aware when I post new videos like this. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. So, until the next time.